right, I believe we're back. So, if you have noticed anything about the posts I've been putting on Facebook, you might have an idea of what I'm about to talk about, but I would like to sort of set the scene here. So, I am currently a mechanical engineering student at the University of Central Florida. So, I'm not an engineer yet, but I would like to say I am a prospective engineer, and I would like to make the claim that through the credibility of my passions and my experience through school and whatnot, I have brought myself to become somewhat of a practical thinking and logical person. So I always find it interesting to look at the designs of some appliances and maybe the designs of buildings and just think about the practicality of why someone would make something a certain way as opposed to a simpler way that may also be more effective. So this comes into play when you look at things like how bathrooms are laid out, where the toilets are, because sometimes you'll have like a toilet over in a corner, and then it when someone walks in the door, it'll be completely visible, and there's no privacy. So there's little practicality things like this that just sort of get on my nerves when I see them, and it's probably just me as a prospective engineer and a practical thinking person, um, seeing these, and it just kind of irks me to the core. But considering current events, there has been a lot of questions of practicality when it comes to perhaps the UK leaving the EU, or even the debates in gun laws with the recent shootings. But I think there's a topic that a lot of people don't really think about ever. And so I would like to bring it up because it's something that I feel very passionate about. And that topic is the impracticality of electric soap dispensers, or automatic soap dispensers specifically. So this may sound like somewhat of a petty argument, but I hope to show you or enlighten you on the impracticality of these devices. So just picture this. I have the paint window up here. I'll draw a nice diagram here. We'll get the play-by-play, get the John Madden style bathroom schedule. So obviously I am a male, so this will be from the male perspective, but I would believe that it would transcend across the gender barrier. So you come into your restroom here, and we'll just design ourselves a restroom here. And obviously you have this cutout in the wall, so you can have the bathrooms. These circles will be the toilets, and so you got a stall, and then you get the rest of the bathroom, and you have your sink here with the vanity, and maybe there's another tiny wall with another urinal here back here, and this is a mirror. And so you have your sinks, and then maybe you have your soap dispenser here, and perhaps a dryer, a hand dryer over here. So let's just think about the normal path that someone would go through in order to use the restroom. And so in traditional John Madden style, I will grab the yellow pen and we will start drawing a path. Let me get this a little thicker for authenticity's purposes. So we're going to have our normal everyday person come in here, and assuming it's a guy, then maybe he'll go use the urinal, and then he comes back and he uses the soap dispenser, and he grabs some soap, and then he turns on the faucet, and the water flows out. Ignore that splotch over there and that splotch that I didn't see. And so after this person uses the sink, they will come over to here, dry their hands in the hand dryer, or perhaps grab a towel, and then exit the restroom. So this is a general path. I mean, if it were a female, then these would just be stalls, and it would be the same process. So what you'll see is that there are many situations where someone could generate or acquire bacteria on their hands, and it is important that, and we always teach our children to wash their hands upon leaving the restroom, because of sanitary purposes. It helps to not spread diseases. It helps to improve the immune system due to the fact that the immune system is not constantly fighting these bacteria, so it can actually build up. But I would like you to actually analyze the process of where you collect germs and where you get rid of them. So you can collect germs here, you can collect germs here, and so at any point in time over by the toilets, and then a lot of people will put in automatic sinks so that you don't have to turn the sink off when you're done washing your hands. This makes sense because if you are done washing your hands are clean and you don't want them to become dirty again. But the soap dispensing process happens prior to, so this is number one, and then this is number two. In the timeline of using the restroom, you have your timeline here. You have enter, and then you use the toilet, and then you use the soap, and then you use the sink, and then then you exit the door. So we have this process, and you will see that this is the point in time when your hands become clean. So having a soap dispenser that you don't have to touch is completely pointless, because if you don't touch it, or if you touch it, it doesn't matter, because you're going to clean your hands here. So this is a thing that it's a completely pointless invention, because it would be extremely more cost effective to have a pump action soap dispenser that can get the job done and can give you soap, and then you clean your hands and then you exit. So despite my argument, there are some arguments for automatic soap dispensers, so I will go over these. So I'll clean the slate here. If we have an automatic soap dispenser, right? So let's say we have this is the normal soap dispenser. It's got the little lever here. This is soap, and then you have a automatic soap dispenser. It's a little curved around the edges. It's got the little spigot here, and then it's so this soap dispenser squirts the soap out, and this soap dispenser squirts the soap out, and so this is soap 3000 HD, the automatic soap dispenser. So now we will weigh the pros and cons of these devices. So this is simple. It is cheap. And it is okay, so we'll give the user-friendly to the automatic soap dispenser, just because it does stuff for you. And then if we think about which one is more effective at dispensing soap, I wouldn't necessarily say that one is more effective than the other, so we'll keep that off the board. One thing that is the argument for most automatic soap dispensers is that it is fancy, or it is futuristic. And we did have a comment in the chat saying it's cool when the soap dispensers dispense the soap itself. That was from Technicarly. And that is very true. People enjoy the futuristic feel of soap dispensers dispensing soap by themselves, just from you putting your hands under them. And so now we should weigh this argument against the impracticality that I have already brought up. So let's think about it. The reason that people would get an automatic soap dispenser that has any practicality is because it will make your bathroom look fancy, and when bathrooms look fancy or futuristic, they are viewed as more clean or more credible or more reliable, and that's understandable, because that's a big deal. In like a restaurant, you want to have a clean looking bathroom. You want people to have a good experience in the restrooms so that it doesn't affect the experience with your actual product, which is buying and eating food. So this is a decent argument, but I would like to analyze this argument slightly. So if you have this idea that it looks futuristic, then one, if the regular soap dispenser is properly designed and ergonomically created, it will also look futuristic and it can have that same credible effect. Now, I don't have any examples of soap dispensers that are artistically designed. That would be something that you might want to research on your own to see if there are any out there. But the thing is, having all those mechanisms inside doesn't necessarily make it reliable, because what happens when you're engineering a device, it actually is usually better to go on a simpler scale, because when there are more processes happening, there's more room for failure. And so what can happen is the automatic soap dispenser, if it doesn't dispense soap, then this will cause an opposite effect on the people that are entering and exiting your restroom. And so you may make the argument that this could very well happen with a regular soap dispenser, because regular soap dispensers break all the time. And I would like to question whether this is a problem with soap dispensers, or whether this is a problem with customers and the logic of the actual consumer that is using the devices. Because the reason that automatic soap dispensers don't uh, the only reason that an automatic soap dispenser wouldn't break when a normal soap dispenser would break is because someone may use the soap dispenser forcefully. Now, this may be this is true, but that may be because you didn't buy a efficiently designed soap dispenser that is prepared for a beating. So, I mean, this is a problem that you're always going to have happening with people. But let's say that this happens because a drunk person walks into the bathroom and doesn't know their own strength. Well, the same thing is going to happen if you have an automatic soap dispenser, because the drunk person won't necessarily understand that it will be automatic, and they may shove their hand there anyway and break the device anyway. So that is my claim. Now, that's not a very solid argument, but I would like to make the argument that bathrooms can have the effect of futuristic and clean, without having this impractical device of an automatic soap dispenser. And the way you can do this is with different automatic devices. If you have everything else in the bathroom automatic, then having a soap dispenser that doesn't automatically dispense it won't change anybody's perspective on the idea. So this is something that I find interesting, because I have personally been to restaurants and been to places where they will have nothing automatic except for the automatic soap dispenser. Now, this doesn't make sense at all, and this is something I'm definitely arguing against. I can understand if everything in your bathroom is automatic and you make the soap dispenser automatic just to kind of fit the feel of the room. I'm okay, I'll live with that. But if the only thing that is automatic in your bathroom is an automatic soap dispenser, you have made the wrong decision. Because the advantage of automatic soap dispensers is that they only dispense a certain amount of soap per dispense, and they and so in a sense that may make you think that you would save soap because it's on a timer. But if someone takes their hand out and puts it back, it will dispense more soap. And so this doesn't necessarily save you any soap in that sense. And so it is a foam soap. It is sort of it's foam soap dispensers are somewhat more efficient, but you can get a foam pump action soap dispenser. They sell those at Walmart. It's not very difficult to get. So to have a wall mounted one wouldn't be that much more difficult to design, and may even be easier because it is larger. Um, but at the same time, if we think about th- um, if we think about the other appliances that could be automatic in the bathroom and how those are more efficient on a microeconomic scale, let's consider the possibilities. So, what things do you have in the bathroom? You have a sink, you have a toilet. I need to make sure that this is on. I spelt that backwards. I added an extra T. You have a toilet, you have a door, and you have a soap dispenser. And so these are your four things that you have to decide about when you are designing a bathroom. And so, what are the worries with these different appliances? Well, with the door, one big worry is bacteria. And so bacteria, and so that's a worry with the sink, and that's a worry with the toilet. This is not a worry with the soap dispenser. So, um, and oh, okay. So there was a comment in the chat that's saying, don't forget about the paper towel dispensers or the hand dryers. So we'll add those in here. And so this we can also analyze this appliance. So this is after the hand washing process, and so we can agree that there would be a problem with bacteria. Now, this is we can you can make arguments that the toilet isn't really a question of bacteria because you are washing your hands afterwards. So just for the sake of creating an argument here and being fair, I will take that off of the margin. But let's consider other things that are involved. So bacteria is basically the only concern with the door, simply because it is after the hand washing process. But with the sink, you also have a question of wasting water. So water. With the toilet, you have a question of wasting water. And with the soap dispenser, you have a question of wasting soap. But I just mentioned that an electric soap dispenser wouldn't necessarily change the process. It would. I don't know why the A is first. An electric soap dispenser wouldn't necessarily change the process. It would simply make gaining more soap slightly more annoying. So it is a slight advantage in that sense because it does save soap on that scale. But if we look at our other processes, you have bacteria, which is completely understandable. So this is a big one. The door is a must. So if you have an automatic door, one that will look very futuristic because it is a large appliance, and it's something that everyone has to use. People can avoid using the sink, although people can still open the door on their own. But if you have an automatic door, then it's something that people have to walk through constantly. So it is an appliance that is important. And if you make this automatic, it will give the effect that your bathroom is futuristic and all that shebang. So if we have the sink, there's a question of bacteria, because if you turn it off and you have to touch it again, then you obviously are putting bacteria back onto your hand after you've cleaned it. So that's a problem. But there is also a problem with water if the sink is left on, because people are questioning the sanitary or the cleanliness of the sink. Then it is going to be wasting water, which is one, bad for the environment, and two, it is bad for your wallet, because if you are constantly pouring water down the drain, then it is not there to be used later. And we are lucky to live in a country where water is a relatively renewable resource, but at the same time it does cost money. So that is a big problem. So a sink is a very valid option for becoming an automatic appliance, because if it's something that turns itself on and turns itself off, then that is only dispensing the exact amount of water that is necessary to clean someone's hands, because the minute they remove their hands, the sink turns off and and the water is saved. A toilet that automatically flushes. So this bacteria concept, I would like to replace with a different idea that is necessary for consideration, and that is aesthetic. Because if you have a toilet that someone has used and they do not flush the toilet, then this will cause a problem that is it will cause a bad experience for the people using your facilities, and this is something that can affect the entire experience at your restaurant or at your store. And so, just because one customer before them chose not to flush, that's not necessarily your problem. But if you take it out of their hands, then it's no longer a problem at all. So an automatic toilet, plus the bonus of you can program it to you only flush once or something like that. It will save you money, and it will save you the customer experience um, during their time in the restroom. So the paper towel is the paper towel dispenser, or the hand dryer, is after the hand washing process. So bacteria is a main concern. And also, there is the question of using too much paper towels. Paper is something that we don't necessarily want to uh, be throwing so much out of, because we have a problem with trash in America. And so this is a big check, because having an automatic hand dryer uh, as opposed to having um, a manual paper towel dispenser, it will help the overall effectiveness of your paper towels, or energy being used, and it can be automatic, just to get that aesthetic of futuristicness. But the soap dispenser, all it really has going for it is this idea of adding to the aura of futuristicness, and the saving of soap. Which, mind you, soap is not very expensive, especially when bought in bulk and in the packages used for automatic soap dispensers. So I would make the claim that out of all of the appliances in the restroom, the soap dispenser is the least important in terms of making automatic. Now, we are getting a lot of comments in the chat. I will read through these just real quick to make sure they're not calling anything out that I've mentioned wrong. Another consideration. So this is just a comment about another way that toilets can be automatic. If the actual seat in the normal toilet goes down and up on its own, then this can save from a bacteria problem. Um, but I have seen, actually, being on a college campus, there are some toilets that actually have a dual flush system, where it will have a more economic flush and a more powerful flush in order to get the job done when necessary. So um, it was mentioned that it was so it's not on its own, but um, so we're getting a lot of comics. Sorry, it's a little overwhelming, but um, yeah. So it is important for the toilets overall to be a clean experience, simply because it helps the overall experience of the consumer. But the experience is not necessarily affected too much by the soap dispenser. So I feel like I'm dwelling a little bit long on this topic, and I need to move on a little bit. But I hope that I have given a decent argument already. So I will give a general overview and see if there are any more ideas that need to be covered. So the claim is that soap dispensers are uh, not important in making soap dispensers automatic does not necessarily gain any practicality in terms of the appliances. The reason that soap dispensers would be made automatic is simply for an add to the aesthetic and the futuristic feel of the restroom, which gives off an aura of cleanliness, but at the same time, a normal soap dispenser will get the job done because if designed correctly and engineered with a uh, user-friendly uh, user-friendly basis in mind, the pump action soap dispenser can do all of the can achieve all of the pros of the automatic soap dispenser while still being cheap, still being effective, and still being efficient. So, as a prospective engineer, I would like to now open up the conversation because I believe that society is moving towards a quick paced engineering and inventing society that doesn't necessarily sit back and ask the right questions when creating these appliances. Because when we put these out into society, people will immediately receive the awe of these devices. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are achieving what they have been put out to achieve. So I would like to sort of put out a call to action to question the normal everyday appliances. Because just because it's the norm doesn't mean that it's necessarily correct and effective. So if you have any experiences with appliances that have been claimed to be new and improved and may actually just be impractical and overcomplicated, put that in the comments, and I will maybe pick out a couple stories if I see some that amuse me and hit to home with the topic, and I will mention those. But I think that I have beaten this topic dry, so I am going to play a quick ad and move into my final topic of the day, which is my normal segment where I do my random drawing. So I'll be right back.